Hey there, folks. Welcome to another deep dive into the ever-changing world of international relations. Tonight, we're diving headfirst into the acronym soup of international relations, specifically BRICS. You might have heard this term thrown around, but what does it really mean? No, not the kind you use to build a house. Although BRICS nations are building something too, a new world order, or at least trying to, they are laying down the foundation for a significant shift in global dynamics. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These countries are not just random picks, they represent some of the most influential emerging markets in the world. These five nations, with their diverse economies and political systems, are banding together and flexing their collective muscle on the global stage. They are uniting to create a formidable force that could potentially rival the established powers. The big question is, are they succeeding? Are they making the impact they aim for, or is it all just talk? And what does it mean for the old guard, especially the United States? How will the traditional powerhouses respond to this new challenge? Buckle up, because things are about to get interesting. The emergence of BRICS represents a seismic shift in the global balance of power. This is not just a minor adjustment, it's a potential game changer. For decades, the United States has been the undisputed economic heavyweight champion of the world. Its influence has been felt in every corner of the globe. But now, the BRICS nations are stepping into the ring, challenging the status quo and demanding a bigger piece of the pie. They are no longer content with being on the sidelines. They're tired of playing by the rules set by the West, and they're creating their own game plan. They're breaking free from the traditional constraints and forging a new path. This isn't just about economics, it's about reshaping the entire global order, from trade and finance to diplomacy and security. The world is watching closely as BRICS makes its move. Now, you might be thinking, BRICS sounds like a bad 80s boy band. And you wouldn't be entirely wrong, at least in terms of the name's origin. It does have a bit of that retro charm, doesn't it? The term BRIC, without South Africa initially, was coined in 2001 by Jim O'Neill, an economist at, wait for it, Goldman Sachs. Yes, the same Goldman Sachs that's synonymous with Wall Street. Yes, that Goldman Sachs. Apparently, even investment bankers moonlight as geopolitical soothsayers. Who knew they had such foresight? O'Neill predicted that these four countries would become economic powerhouses. He saw potential where others saw developing nations, and guess what? He wasn't entirely wrong. These nations have shown remarkable growth and influence. Fast forward a few years and South Africa joins the party in 2010, adding the S to BRIC and creating the acronym we know. And, well, no, it was a significant addition. But this wasn't just some marketing ploy, it was a strategic move. These countries saw the potential of joining forces. They understood the power of unity. They realized that together they could wield significant influence on the world stage. Their combined strength was undeniable. From annual summits to the establishment of the new development bank, BRICS is becoming more than just a catchy acronym. It's a symbol of collaboration. It's evolving into a force to be reckoned with. A true global powerhouse in the making. So, what exactly do these five countries have in common? Well, for starters, they're all large, populous nations with rapidly developing economies. They're also major players in their respective regions and have a shared desire to challenge the existing global order. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. These countries aren't exactly best friends forever. They have their own unique histories, political systems, and even rivalries. Think of them as classmates who are all stuck in detention together. They may not like each other very much, but they recognize that they have a common enemy, the principal, or in this case, the current global power structure. So they put aside their differences and team up to stage a rebellion. Whether they can actually pull it off is another story entirely, but one thing's for sure, their cooperation, even if sometimes uneasy, has the potential to shake things up. Let's face it, folks, any conversation about BRICS inevitably circles back to its two heavy hitters, China and India. China, with its manufacturing prowess and massive population, has become the world's factory. They're pumping out everything from iPhones to solar panels faster than you can say made in China. And India, with its booming tech sector and a young, dynamic workforce, is quickly becoming the world's back office. These two Asian giants are like the stars of the Brics basketball team. They score most of the points, grab most of the rebounds, and get most of the attention. The other Brics members, while important in their own right, often find themselves playing supporting roles. But hey, that's the thing about teams. You need a solid bench to win championships. And right now, the Brics team is looking pretty strong. Then the Brics Bank, an alternative to the IMF. Remember that time you needed a loan, but the bank treated you like you were asking for a kidney? The endless paperwork, the scrutinizing looks, and the eventual rejection? Yeah. Well, imagine being a developing country trying to get funding from the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. The process is just as grueling, if not more. Not exactly a walk in the park. The hoops you have to jump through can be overwhelming and disheartening. Enter the new development bank, also known as the Brics Bank. This institution aims to change the game. This shiny new financial institution, established in 2014, is like the cool alternative lender that doesn't judge you for your credit score. It offers a fresh perspective on global financing. The Brics Bank is designed to provide funding for infrastructure and sustainable development projects in BRICS and other emerging economies. It's all about fostering growth and development. It's meant to be an alternative to the Western-dominated IMF and World Bank, which BRICS nations see as biased and out of touch with their needs. They want a system that understands their unique challenges. Think of it as a financial middle finger to the established order, a way for BRICS to flex their financial muscles and say, "We don't need your money, we've got our own now." It's a bold statement of independence and self-reliance. The dollar's reign threatened or still supreme. The US dollar, the world's reserve currency, the backbone of international trade, the envy of every other currency on the planet. But lately, the dollar's been feeling a little vulnerable. It's like the aging quarterback who's starting to show his age, and the BRICS nations, they're like the hungry young rookies eager to take his spot. They're increasingly conducting trade in their own currencies, bypassing the dollar entirely now. The death of the dollar has been greatly exaggerated, to paraphrase Mark Twain. But there's no denying that BRICS is chipping away at its dominance, and that has some people in Washington feeling a little uneasy. After all, being the world's reserve currency has its perks. It gives the US enormous economic and political leverage. But as BRICS gains more economic clout, that leverage could start to slip away. America's response playing catch-up. So, how has the United States responded to the rise of BRICS? Well, it's kind of like that moment when you realize the new kid in school is actually really good at everything and you're suddenly feeling a little insecure. There's been a mix of denial, dismissal, and a dash of panic. Some US policymakers initially brushed off BRICS as nothing more than a talking shop. Others have tried to counter its influence by strengthening alliances with other countries in the region, like Japan and Australia. But let's be honest, folks, the US is playing catch-up here. They've been so focused on their own internal issues, healthcare debates, political gridlock, you name it, that they've taken their eye off the global ball, and now they're scrambling to adapt to a world where their economic and geopolitical dominance is no longer a given. A new Cold War or room for cooperation? So are we on the brink of a new Cold War? Will the US and BRICS face off in a battle for global supremacy? Well, it's not quite that simple. Remember, BRICS isn't a monolithic bloc like the Soviet Union. They have different interests, priorities, and sometimes even conflicting agendas. It's entirely possible that the future will be marked by both competition and cooperation between the US and BRICS. Think of it like this. Imagine you and your frenemy both want to date the same person. You might badmouth each other behind their back, try to sabotage each other's efforts, and generally make each other's lives miserable. But at the same time, you might find yourselves working together on group projects, sharing notes in class, and even occasionally hanging out. It's complicated. Challenges and opportunities for the US. The rise of BRICS presents both challenges and opportunities for the United States. On the one hand, the US is facing increased competition for resources, markets, and influence. The days of calling all the shots are over. On the other hand, BRICS's growth also creates new markets for American goods and services. There's potential for collaboration on issues like climate change, terrorism, and global health. The key for the US will be to adapt to this new reality. They need to stop clinging to the past and embrace a more multipolar world. That means engaging with BRICS nations constructively, finding common ground where possible, and competing fiercely when necessary. The future of BRICS, a force to be reckoned with. So what does the future hold for BRICS? Will they continue to rise as a global power, or will they crumble under their own internal contradictions? Honestly, folks, it's too early to tell. BRICS is still a relatively young and untested alliance. They face numerous challenges, including poverty, inequality, corruption, and political instability. But one thing is clear, BRICS is a force to be reckoned with. They've already shaken up the global order, and they're not going away anytime soon. The world is changing, folks. And BRICS is both a symptom and a driver of that change. Thank you for watching our video. We appreciate your support and engagement with macro matters. To stay updated on the latest economic insights and discussions, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.